My husband, my son-in-law, my daughter, they were hiding in the kitchen. Everyone was scared about talking with the first customer.
Oh my goodness.
And I was in front.
In this episode, you'll get to know Rosalie Guillaume, the Macaron franchisor, and you'll hear the story of how she went from losing everything in the Great Recession to building a successful French pastry franchise with over 65 locations. I'm Dave Crenshaw, and this is My Success Show. Welcome back, friends, to the Dave Crenshaw Success Show. This is where I interview some of the most successful people I've met in my life's journey, and I let you come along and learn along with my family. If it's your first time here, by way of introduction, I'm a best-selling author. I speak around the world to Fortune 500 companies, and I've taught millions of people how to be successful through my online courses, in particular my courses on LinkedIn Learning. With this show, I wanted to create something lasting, a bit of a legacy project to help my kids succeed. I was thinking about them, but then I thought, well, why not let you enjoy learning along with them? I seek to interview people who have multifaceted success. So not just career or financial success, as important as those are, but also have time for fun and make time for family. And my guest today is someone who really, that's an important thing in her life. Now, one thing I'd like you to do, as you listen to today's episode, look for something you can do, an action you can take. And then that way you'll make my guest success story a part of your success story. And I'm really excited about my guest today. I admit that this whole morning I've gotten very hungry thinking about her business. My guest is Rosalie Guillaume. She's the owner and co-founder of Le Macaron, a French patisserie specializing in authentic, handcrafted macarons. She moved to the United States from France in 2002 and started the business in 2009 with her daughter, Audrey. Since its inception, Le Macaron has become a growing franchise with 66 locations nationwide. Le Macaron has received the Entrepreneur Franchise 500 Top Food Franchise Award multiple times. Rosalie enjoys reading books, traveling, playing golf, and spending time with her family and 8 grandchildren. Rosalie, it's an honor to have you on the show today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me on your show. I feel honored that you wanted to hear my story, and I hope your auditors will understand me even with my French accent.
Yeah, before the show, we were talking about how I took several years of French, and so did my assistant, Victoria. I think your English is far, far better than our French.
Thank you.
And I'll confess that as I've been contemplating this interview this morning, I've been getting very hungry. I love macarons and your store, and so I'm really thrilled to learn the story behind all of it.
With pleasure. I am here for that.
So I always like to start at the very beginning, Rosalie. And by beginning, what I mean is the question that many people ask their kids, which is, what do you want to be when you grow up? So when you were growing up in France, what did you think you would be, or what your career would be?
That's a good question. In fact, I didn't have a specific dream job in mind. But what I wanted to be or to do, I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to be in contact with people. I wanted to travel different countries and hear people listening their story and discover how they do live in other countries. That was my dream. And I'm coming from a very modest family, so I didn't have the money to travel. And at the time, at 14 years old, I said, maybe you can be a flight attendant, so you will be able to travel the world by this way without to have to expend money. Yes.
And right now you're in Florida. What part of France did you grow up in?
I grew up in south of France. I grew up in a small city between Marseille and Aix-en-Provence, where the lavender grows. Very lucky.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. That sounds like that'd smell really good. So did you have opportunities to travel like around Europe? I mean, that's one advantage that you have in a place like France versus the United States is just access to more countries immediately.
Yes, that's true that we were able to go in Italy, Spain, Switzerland, England very easier. And I think that is the advantage that we have in France is that we speak several languages, because we have to adapt to the city where we go. Mm-hmm.
I heard a joke about that once. If you speak 3 languages, you're trilingual. If you speak 2 languages, you're bilingual. If you speak 1 language, you're American.
That's good.
So did you have the opportunity to be a flight attendant? What did you study? Please tell us about that.
Yes, I wanted to learn and study different language because I already spoke Italian because my mom was originally from Italy. So that was my maternal language, but I was born and raised in France. So French was my second language, of course. And I didn't pursue this career because I was very, very lucky in one sense. I met my husband. I was 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
He is the love of my life. I'm very lucky. So we're going to celebrate 50 years wedding in 2 years. So that's great.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes. Very proud of that. So I was 16. He was 18. He was going to college. He wanted to study and to become a doctor. That he did. So I understood that I had no choice to do long study by myself. I wanted to get married. I wanted to be able to support a little the family. So I went on private school to become a secretary. And I learned at the time how to use a typewriter and take shorthand. And I think that was a great idea at the time because remember, at the time we had no computer, but when technology advanced, I was already familiar with using a keyboard and being able to use different software very quickly to create my own company.
Oh, and what was that company?
That came after because that was 78. We didn't have the possibility at the time. Bernard was a student. I was doing a little work, some temporary work. And at this time, that might surprise you, but we were inviting to a meeting and they were presenting the concept Amway, the American concept Amway.
So Amway, right?
Yes.
Okay, so multi-level marketing, right?
Exactly, yes. Okay. So we were on our 20s and I thought it was a good way to have some extra earning. And we started this business with my husband. And with this business, we had to travel a lot. We had to meet a lot of people, of course. And I was happy because that helped us to go through all these 9 years of study that Bernard used to have. So because we were doing very well with Amway, we became a distributor diamond, and we were invited to do some wonderful travels and to come to the USA and fell in love with America here by the travel that we were earning because we were very good at selling.
Okay, so I want to dive into that for a moment because I see some parallels with the business that you run now. With being a franchise, right? It's you understand the value of having people underneath you who are earning and you're receiving income from that. But I do want to really focus on the sales process. So first of all, what made you good at selling Amway to other people? What are you and your husband's skill set that allows you to do that?
We were a hard worker, very hard worker. Having a good sense of humor. That's making people interested and laughing about the concept. But we are very proud of the quality of the product that we were selling. We had a passion for the product that we were presenting. That was something that was really 100% sure for us. So we didn't have any issue presenting this concept and this product because we were very proud of them. And we worked very, very hard. Yes.
When you say very hard, could you describe that a little bit more? What did that mean at the time?
Yeah, we had a meeting every day. We had to meet people, to organize meeting, to travel all over France to meet people where they live, because we were doing meeting in their house, in their home, in their city. So that was a lot of work for us. And Bernard was studying, and I was having a baby,
Wow.
But that was a lot. But motivation was here. And the pleasure to share the idea, and the pleasure to see other people having some extra money for them too. That was great for us.
So I just want to kind of debate something with you a little bit here. My perspective is a lot of times people will see something like a multi-level marketing company, and the phrase that they sometimes use to promote it to others is passive income, right? It's the idea that you have these other people working underneath you and then you get this passive income. But I feel like that's kind of a misnomer, because clearly there's nothing passive about what you were doing. You were working very hard to build that. And I think that's required of any successful career, is to continually work and maintain that income. What's your perspective on that?
I totally agree with you. I mean, you need to call people, you need to motivate them, you need to push them, you need to be in contact with them, you need to organize, you need to present, you need to try, you need to share the motivation with them. That is a lot of work. But we were at a level, I think we were the youngest distributor direct of all the time. We were on our 20s, but at the time we really need to have something in order to survive. So that was the good opportunity that was presented to us, and we catch it. When you are 20 and 22 years, you don't think a lot about the future. You live the present moment. But for me, I have to say that being with this company for several years, that has been the best school ever. I learned so much meeting all these people. I learned so much with my husband, doing all these meeting, presenting, talking with people, learning from people. That was the best school, the best university I could do. I think so. That was difficult. That was worthy.
What's a lesson that you learned that you apply today in your business with Le Macaron?
Never give up. Never give up. And I have my motto that is just here, A journey of 1,000 miles began with a single step. So even sometimes I can feel overwhelming. I say, okay, start. Step 1, done. Step 2, done. Step 3, done, and never give up, and you can do it. And also, my husband is funny because he said always, I am not worried about something that I don't know. He said, she doesn't know she cannot do it, so she does. I am very curious. And if I don't know something, I ask people how we do that. I ask, do you know that? And until I find all my answer. And Amway taught me that. That was very important.
And they provided a system as well, right? Like you provide a system to your franchisees.
Yeah.
And in a similar way, you were following a system that Amway was giving you in terms of sales training and that sort of thing.
The support, exactly, the motivation. And they used to organize a wonderful trip for us. So I had the opportunity to leave my little city and travel the world with the most beautiful hotels. Can you imagine? I mean, I was on my 20s. I ended up at the Waldorf Astoria in New York for the first time of my life, That gives you a lot of motivation to see people succeed. That show you that you can succeed too.
Yeah. I had a mentor early on in my career, Rosalie, who he talked about, he created a school in Mexico for kids, and it was so important for them to have everything look nice, the best desks, the best classrooms, all of those things. And the reason why he did that, it was to expose them to the concept of success, to give them a taste of this is possible. Look at what this is. It sounds like that's what that was for you.
Exactly, because if I had to stay in my little city, I would not have been traveling in USA. And maybe I will be there as of today. I will not move. But because I saw other things, I saw success, I saw the USA, I saw the beautiful hotel, the beautiful boats, I saw the beautiful plane. I said, I can have that too. And I'm going to fight to have that too.
And I want to emphasize something too that you said, which is, and this is a recurring theme, Rosalie, with the people that I've interviewed, is a little bit of ignorance is good. A little bit of getting into something and not realizing what you're doing. Because if you think about all of the steps and everything that you're going to have to do, it just becomes overwhelming. It's too much.
You're right.
I'm dealing with that right now with a new project that I'm doing, and I just have to continually stop myself from thinking about the future. It's very weird. Stop thinking about all that and just thinking about what's the next step right here.
That's helped me a lot, step by step. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I know that you moved to the United States in 2002. So were you working with Amway all the way up to that, or was there a period in between?
No, it was a big period in between. In 1988, with Bernard, he was a doctor, but he decided that he doesn't like that anymore. So he wanted to change fields, and we created a company. And we started to sell houses and apartments, a real estate company, both together. And we were doing very, very well. We had a big company in France. Everything was nice. And in 2002, we moved to Florida because I wanted to take a sabbatical year with my children. I wanted them to learn to speak English. The fact is that I really love living in Florida, so I didn't want to go back in France. And that's when in 2008, 2009, the Great Recession hit. And it was chaos. We lost everything. The bank were not financing anymore. So it was chaos. So we lost everything, even my house here in USA.
And you lost it all because you were selling real estate, because you were investing in that.
Yes.
And both here in the United States and in France, did you have properties in both locations?
Yes.
Wow.
And that was terrible.
I want to spend a little time on that because a big part of this show is helping people understand principles of success, but you can't have success without failure. So could you sort of paint a picture of what that was like for you and your husband and your family to feel that and experience that degree of failure?
Life was very simple before. Beautiful house, beautiful boats, travels. Beautiful life. And suddenly you have nothing. You cannot pay your mortgage. You cannot pay the food. You cannot pay the utilities. You have nothing. So you have to give back the house to the bank. And I have to try to find an idea to survive again. What I'm going to do to survive? I still had a little daughter at the time with Bernard. And it was terrible. No one wanted to start a new business. And I said, I need to find an idea. We need to bounce back. We need to create something. So not having all the material was not important for me. The most important was staying focused on my family. I had the love of my life. I love my children. We were wealthy as health. That was very important. We had a roof overhead, even if it was a small apartment. I didn't care. That was the most important. Family, children, a roof. That was very important. The rest, I was ready to start over anything else.
There's an interesting combination as you're describing this, Rosalie, which is on one side, you're talking about gratitude. And you're saying, here are the things that I have that are most important, and you're grateful for them, which is also a principle I've seen in many of the people I've interviewed. At the same time, there was a hunger. the hunger for more, the hunger to do more and get back to that level of success. I think sometimes people feel that the two are against each other, that gratitude and the desire to succeed. But really, they're not, right? They both can exist at the same time.
Absolutely. One is the motivation of the other one. As long as you're strong with your family. I used to say, I don't care where I live. My family is my husband and my children. So if it's a palace or if it's a 2-bedroom apartment, that's not important, you know. You are motivated to start again. You know that you were successful and you know that you have the capacity to start over, but you don't know how. You don't know where. And my English at the time was really, really bad. I have to say.
You were able to get by in Florida for many years without learning English. How did you do that?
Yeah, because, you know, when you move in another country, you have tendency to be friends with the one that speaks the same language that you are.
Yeah.
You know, so you have the basic one, just what you need to go to the doctor or to do some paperwork at school for the girls, but you don't need to express yourself and you don't know the professional term. But anyway, I thought what I can do, what I can bring to this wonderful country that has already almost everything. So I was thinking, what do I have in France and that I am not able to find in USA? And I started, where are we good in France that USA needs to have some improvement? So I started, the wine. We have wonderful wine in France. Oh, you don't drink wine, Rosalie. You don't know nothing on wine. So eliminate. And I said, okay, the fashion. Oh, we have a wonderful fashion in France. Oh, you don't know how to sew. You don't know how to draw. You don't know how to design. Eliminate. And I went by elimination like that, you know. And finally, I found out what do we love in France that we don't find here, something to eat. And I thought, macaron. I love macaron in France. I don't have any macaron store here in USA.
Especially Florida, right?
Everywhere. At the time in 2009, not one macaron in all the USA. Because in France, when I left France, we were able to find macaron only in Paris at the lingerie store. And it was a long queue behind in front of the store to have macaron. And a few years after, we were able to see macaron almost in every little bakery in France. That was growing and growing, and even in Europe, but still not in USA. And I said, that is my idea. We're going to open a cafe, patisserie, having the main product being macaron. So my daughter, my eldest daughter, was still in France, and she was married, having children. And I called her, and she wanted to come and join us. And I said, you know, Audrey, I think I found an idea. We should open a cafe patisserie and we should sell macaron and other little stuff like ice cream and chocolate. And she said, yes, that's a wonderful idea, ma'am. And I said, okay, you need to send your husband at school now because he has to learn how to do macaron.
Wow.
So we spoke with Didier. And we sent Didier in Paris to the Le Notre school. We sent Didier in several different schools to learn how to do this specialty.
DJ is who?
Is my son-in-law. He's older husband.
Okay. And
Didier was so good at what he was doing in Paris that he gets friends with the instructors. And he was sharing his idea of moving in USA and opening a store. And one of his instructors said, I will be willing to help you. So we got the help of this wonderful chef that is still in France, that came several times in USA to help to set up the recipe, to set up the kitchen, and to open our first location, just a little tiny location in Sarasota, Florida, that is still open today.
When you opened that, what was your vision? you have had all this success before in real estate and even as a diamond level Amway executive. When you started that one, did you see a lot more in your mind?
My husband, yes, he did see that.
Okay.
My husband had the vision. He is a visionary too. So he said, we're going to do something so simple that people will be able to duplicate it.
I love that.
So the way we did when we set up our first location was extremely simple. Even my teenager, they were 14 and 15 at the time. They were having some money during weekend. They were working at the store and running the store because it was very simple. 16 years old can run a store, can open a store and close a store because everything is extremely very simple. So when we opened the first location, people, they had no clue about what was a macaron. So they saw the beautiful sign outside, Le Macaron, French pastry. So they were coming inside, they were looking for French pastry. At the time, we didn't have French pastry. Now we have a line of product that is much more important. But 13 years ago, we didn't have that. And the people had no idea and were looking for Napoleon. And I said, what is a Napoleon? I had no idea. What is a Napoleon?
Yeah, that's an American term, isn't it? It's not really what the French say.
Absolutely not. We call that a millefeuille, But when we opened the first day, Dave, listen to me. My husband, my son-in-law, my daughter, they were hiding in the kitchen. Everyone was scared about talking with the first customer.
Oh my goodness.
And I was in front. I love people. I love to talk with people. I love to interact with people. That is a quality that I require from a franchisee. And I was in front of my first customer, no problem. They were showing me the flavor because sometimes I was not able to understand the accent. When people come from New York, it's for me, for a French girl, it's like listening. Wah, 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 wah. It's very difficult. But with a big, beautiful smile and kindness, the customer, they are great. I never had any issue with my accent at the time. And we opened the first location like that, 2009.
Well, your accent too is a strength for the type of product that you're making because it's authentic. Here we have a French woman talking to us about French food, right?
Yes, you're right. And I remember some customer, they were looking at me and they said, oh, it looks like I am on the movie Chocolat. Have you seen the movie Chocolat? And I said, yes, I know Chocolat. It was a beautiful movie. Yes.
Okay, so the trickiest part, and Rosalie, I used to do a lot of coaching for small businesses. In fact, sometimes help them move to a franchisor situation. So I know that the most difficult thing to do is to get the second one going. So could you talk to us a little bit about that process of going, okay, now we've got this set up to the point where we can use systems. Was the first one a second location for yourself, or was the second one a franchise that you sold?
Both. In fact, as I said, we lost everything. So I took the few last money that I have. My daughter came from France. She took a saving with her, and with a little money, we were able to open the first one. My second store open was my son. He was still in France. So I called him and I said, I am a mama. I love to have my children around me. I have 4 children. And I said, Gregory, you should come. We have opened a first location and I'd like to open a second location. And I think that you should be great opening the second location. So he opened the second location in Orlando. That is still open now. And the third location was a customer inside the store. I love your store. I love your product. Are you a franchisor? And I say, no, I am not a franchisor yet. And I would love to open a store like you. And I say, yes, no problem. We're going to become a franchisor. So I was in contact with lawyers. I was able to find an American lawyer that was speaking fluently French. So that was a big plus for me. And I call a company that helped me to set up all the paperwork to become a franchisor. And in 2012, we become franchisor with several stores.
Was it just one customer that came to you and said that, and that sparked the idea? Did you already have that idea, or were there multiple people?
We already have the idea. That's why we wanted to keep it very simple, very duplicable. As I said, that is extremely important. We didn't want the franchisee to learn how to do the macaron, how to do any baking, because we know that is extremely complicated. We don't want our franchisee to wake up at night at 3 a.m. to do the baking with, or even to have to hire a chef, because sometimes you cannot rely on them and you have nothing to sell in the morning. We wanted to have something extremely simple. And when I did my first batch of macaron, that is a funny story too. I said to my husband, I know, I found the idea. We're going to open a store. We're going to sell macaron. And he said, it's not possible. The only macaron we're able to find, they were in Paris. They're extremely difficult to do. And I said, they're very difficult to do, but I want to try. And I did my first batch of macaron at home. They were not looking good, I have to say. I have to be frank because they're very, very difficult to do. But my husband wanted to have one. And he said, can I have one? And I said, no. Why? I said, because in the recipe, it's written that in order to have the moisture back on the shelves, I need to freeze them. And only when I will defrost them, the flavor will spread on the shelves and the moisture will be back. And they look at me and he said, you are a genius. That is a perfect idea because we're going to be able to ship macaron all over the world with this recipe. You see? So it's the complementary.
Yeah, and that can't be overstated is with a franchise, you want as little as possible to think about. So that I really think is the genius. As I was listening to other interviews with you and I heard you're not requiring them to make them, I think that's brilliant. Now, one of the things you said I want to focus on, you mentioned how when people came to your store, you were so friendly and welcoming to them, and that's part of the reason why the first one succeeded. The tricky part with a franchise is creating systems for customer service and doing the same thing that you did. So how do you teach your franchisees how to behave, so to speak, how to treat the customer? What's your process for training them with that?
So we have a training that is almost a focus on the sales. But I think that I choose my franchisee myself. And before to start any process, I have a founder call with them, like you, just seeing on FaceTime. Since the beginning, I used Skype at the time because the FaceTime was not here, and I wanted to talk with my franchisee. And I wanted them to feel comfortable with me, but I want myself to be comfortable with them. So I was able to see if they were friendly, if they were not too shy, if you had the first hour having a good contact together. That was the first pound to pass for them. And after I invite them also during the process for a discovery day that I personally welcome them in a store. I spend time with them. I make them taste my product. I make them see the confectionery, meet the team. And at the end of the day, same thing. Do I think they will be good franchisees? How do they act with my employees? How do they listen? How do they pay attention? All these little information are, for me, extremely important. And at the end of the day, I take 24, 48 hours to think again about them and to tell them if yes or not, I think they have a chance to become a good franchisee. I love my franchisee. I really love them. They are all very nice people. We have one annual meeting, and every time we meet, it's like having a big family reunion because we are all feeling comfortable with the other. There is no competition. within my franchisee. They help each other as long as they can.
There is so much gold in what you said right there, Rosalie. I hope people really paid attention. And one of the things that you talked about, and I think this applies even if you're not a franchisor, is, and I talk about this in a lot of my courses and books, hiring for traits. Meaning, like you said, friendly. Are they people who listen? Do they pay attention? These are not necessarily skills. They can be improved as skills, but really you're choosing to get into business with someone because of who they are. You're going to teach them the skills. You're going to teach them how to run the business, how to sell the macarons. But you're really hiring for the kind of people, and I say hire, they're buying from you. I'm just trying to extend the lesson to other fields. You're hiring people who have the right traits. And boy, that makes life so much easier when you have a group of people who share those traits in common.
I agree. And not only that, but also in training, we teach them that when they're going to hire people to help them, we want them to help also, to hire people also that they are like them. I don't work anymore in the store, but once a while I still go because I really love. I cannot resist. I have to go behind the display case and I have to interact with my customer. Where are you from? Have you ever tasted my macaron? They love that. I really love that. So if you have this kind of person in the store, people feel comfortable. They like to come and see you. They like to listen the story of the macaron when you explain what is a macaron. How do we do the macaron vanilla? How do we do the macaron, the mint macaron? They love to listen the story of the franchise also a little, not too much. And you love to listen who they are also when they are recurrent customer and they come always, and that's make life so enjoyable.
But the culture is part of the product. Yes, you're selling a pastry, but you're also selling a culture. You're selling that feeling. You're selling the connection to France and a very friendly interpretation of what that would be like, an experience. I think that's what people are buying as well, aren't they?
Absolutely. It's I used to say when my customer come in our store, it's like they're having a 5-minute vacation in France, The atmosphere, the people that they are serving them, they are very nice. The quality of the product. We have wonderful product. We do our own gelato, we do our own macaron, our own pastries. The high quality of the product that we use to do our pastry is unbelievable. And that make people feeling good when they come to our location. Yes.
And I could see that there's a type of person who would really enjoy working in that. I mean, we mentioned how I took French. It didn't stick. I didn't do well with it. But I do appreciate it. And I do also know that there are a ton of people who I went to classes with who just loved the culture. And I think if you hire those kinds of people who are just in love with France, that's going to exude the experience when people walk through the door and they're going to say, let me give you a little slice of southern France right now.
You're right. And I'm going to say that almost all my franchisees, they love France. They were all in love with France before to meet me already, or they have been traveling there, or they have heard about France, but they really love France. That was very helpful too, also. And you're right. My little French accent has helped me also a little.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's a word that you have used so many times in this, Rosalie, and I really want to focus on it for a moment here. You use the word family. How it was important, how it was driving what you were doing early on in the 70s and 80s, how this is a family business. Sometimes family businesses are very difficult. There's a lot of ego and baggage that's carried with that. How have you maintained success as a family business?
That's a very, very good question. First of all, we have 4 children. They live all not close to me. And we are very close. We are a real family. I mean, we love each other. Does not mean that we don't fight. we fight in the business because each one has a strong personality and idea. But that is also complementary in the family. You know, we see things differently and we let our children to express themselves. So I'm going to be with my daughter online. I'm going to not agree with her. I'm going to be, no, I don't want to do that. She's going to say, I want to do that. And so we're fighting. And 2 minutes after I call her, oh, by the way, are you coming Sunday morning for, you see? We don't let the business go over the love that we have in the family. That's special. That's really special.
Is that something you've talked about specifically and say, this is what we're going to do? Or does that just happen naturally?
Naturally. But my daughter, Audrey, said, Mom, I don't want to talk anymore business during the family dinner or lunch. Not a word of business. That's for a few years now, and we respect that.
That's so smart of her.
Yeah, we don't talk about business at all. But now she doesn't want me to talk business on Friday because she doesn't want to be upset on Friday. And she doesn't want me to talk on Monday morning because she's too busy on Monday morning. But we adapt. We adapt. That is important.
I'm putting myself in the shoes of somebody who maybe is working with a family member at work or in their business, and they're hearing this and they want that, but they don't have it. They're not creating good boundaries. So what would you say to that person to establish a more healthy relationship with their family member?
You know, love is everything. Listen and respect what your children say. You don't agree all the time, but you respect what they have to say. Let them express what they have to say. I think that respect is very important as an individual. They are not my child anymore when they talk business. They are adults I work with when they talk business, you know. That's make a big difference. And I think that sometimes some family, they do not agree with their children because they don't want to see them as adults, as responsible. They want to overprotect them. I let my children doing mistakes sometimes because they have to learn also mistakes, you know?
Yeah, that's so critical, is not going in and rescuing them. I think that's also not just true with children, but with your employees, with people that you lead. Sometimes you need to allow them to fail so that they can learn from it, and then you can talk to them about it and help them grow.
Because otherwise they think that you want to control them, control their life, control their work, control. No. They have to take their own responsibility also. And they will fail sometimes, and they will recognize that they did not listen and that they had, but that's normal. When you fail, you learn always something. The only people that never fail, they are people that they do nothing. So it's normal to fail. It's normal to make mistakes because that helps you to grow.
I've come to appreciate that in your story, how you have taken failure and you've used it as a springboard to success. We've seen that several times in your story. I always like to ask, how have you made time for fun and just enjoying the things that you like to do, like golf? How have you been able to do that, not just now where the business has achieved this great level of success, but the years leading up to it? How did you maintain a healthy rhythm between work and life?
I mean, I have to tell you the truth. The 2 first years, I didn't have a lot of time for fun. It was a lot of work because running a store is 7 days a week. So the first 2 years, you work. And after you can breathe. And after you can take some time for you because you start to have some success and showing success. So you cannot enjoy life and create something at the beginning. You have to invest 100% of your time.
After those 2 years, though, how did you make that transition to giving yourself a little bit more and more time?
Naturally, because what I love to do is not complicated. I love to gather my children with me. I love to cook for them. I love to read. I love to play golf on weekend and maybe one time during the week with friends. I like to go to a restaurant with some friends. And as I said, I love my children. I love my family. I wanted to have time to be with them. I love my friends. I love myself. I love to take time for me. I am not a superwoman. I need to have time to rest and to think, because if you are on the running mode all the time, you exhaust yourself. You need to rest at one point and take care of yourself and your loved one. And that is the fun part.
Oh, that's beautiful. What do you see ahead for the next 5 years of Le Macaron?
Keep growing. Right now we are in 26 different states. I like to be present in all the states. Keep growing. I love to see my franchisee growing with me and having number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 stores. I'm very proud when that happens. And having maybe a line of product more important also for the franchisee. And just keep growing, keep having success, and make USA, all the city of the USA having their own little Le Macaron store for their 5-minute vacation time.
Yes, we can all take a little 5-minute vacation in France. Okay, so at the end of every episode, Rosalie, I like to summarize some action steps. My belief is that as wonderful as it is to hear your story and be inspired by it, we want to do something about it. We want to take an action today or this week so that we can make your success story a part of our success story. So what I'm going to do, Rosalie, is I'm going to summarize a few action steps, some concrete things that someone can do. And then I'd like you at the end to share one action step you'd suggest to people. Sound good?
Yeah.
So the first one that was early on in your story was talking about how when it became overwhelming, you just broke it down into what the next step is. And I think someone listening to this may have this big, lofty goal that they want to accomplish. I would ask them to consider what is just the next action step. What is just the next 5 minutes of activity that you need to take to get yourself closer to that goal, and just do that thing. Another approach that you can take is if you have a big goal, break it in half. So if you say in 2 years, I need to be at this number, where do you need to be 1 year from now? And then break it in half. Where do I need to be 6 months from now? And then break it in half again. Where do I need to be 3 months from now? And keep breaking it down into little increments until you get to what do I need to do today? And just do that thing, and it's going to move you forward on the path. The next action step is maybe a little more philosophical, but if you're in a situation where life isn't working out the way that you expected, like Rosalie talked about how a couple of times she had to reinvent yourself, ask yourself, is there a way that I can bring a part of what makes me unique and different to that reinvention? Rosalie was talking about France and macarons and how she used that as that reinvention of herself. Ask yourself, what's something that I love? What's something that I'm passionate about that I could bring to other people, and see if that's not an inspiration for that next step for your life. And then the last one is, just that principle of hiring for traits and creating a culture. All too often, companies hire for someone who knows how to do something. Oh, you're a chef. We need a chef, so we hire you. The first thing that you need to answer is, do they have the traits that fit this culture? Are they the people that we want to spend time with, that we can consider family? Hire for traits. You can train the skills later. So if you're in a leadership position, look to see if you can hire people for who they are first, and then train them later. Those are actions that stood out to me, Rosalie. What's one that you would suggest to people?
Yeah, they are beautiful, and you are right about that. The last one I would add is believe in yourself and don't listen to the other one. When I opened the first location, I had customer coming. It was during the Great Recession, and I had comment like that. You're opening a store, but all the stores are closing. You will never make it. I'm glad I never listened them. I trust myself. I trust my family. I trust my product. And I was keep moving. That is very important. If you have a dream and you are surrounded by negative people, don't listen to them. One day they will come back and they will see you successful.
And you've been such an example of that over and over in your story, Rosalie. Thank you for sharing that inspiring example with us. Okay, 2 questions. If they want to find a Le Macaron store, where should they go?
lemacaron-us.com. That is our website, and they have all the location store in this website. lemacaron-us.com.
Okay, great. And if they're thinking of maybe being a franchisee, where should they go?
Good question. I would love to have more franchisee. The same website, there is a franchise link that they can just go and put some information about them. And I will be pleased to have my founder call with them very soon. Yes.
And if that happens, please let her know that you heard about this from me.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll get me some free macarons. That would be great.
I will for sure. Even if no one is showing up, it was such a pleasure talking with you, Dave. It was really, really nice. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalie, and merci.
Merci beaucoup.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. Remember, it's not just about the knowledge that you gained or the inspiration you received. It's about the action that you take. So do something today or tomorrow, and you'll make Rosalie's success story a part of your success story. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Dave Crenshaw Success Show, hosted by my dad, Dave Crenshaw, and produced by Invaluable Incorporated. Research and assistant production by Victoria Bedez. Sound editing by Nick Wright. Voiceover by me, Darcy Crenshaw. And the music is by Ryan Brady via Pond 5 Licensing. Please subscribe to the Dave Crenshaw Success Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like to get your podcasts. If you have a suggestion for someone my dad might like to interview, please send it to guests@davecrenshaw.com. And please don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. See you next time.